Alright, so this is a public service announcement. Or just maybe me just venting because exes have been popping up left and right. And I'm just over it. Like, I know we all have at one point come across an ex who, men and women, but like I date men, so I can only account for what men do. And it just seems like men want to sell dreams, sell this whole idea of like what they want to do. Like, oh, I know I messed up before, but when I come back, I want to do X, Y, Z, and I want to buy you a house, and I want to do all of this stuff and that stuff. And it's always about like what I want to do later. Like, I told you about the guy who came and was like, we're in the middle of summer, and he's talking about in January I can provide for you the way that I want to or whatever. And it's like, why not just hit me up in January when you're ready to provide? Like, why are we having this conversation 6 months beforehand? And it's just like really interesting to me, like how I'm not gonna say men because I would imagine that it's not only men who do this. I would imagine that women do the same type of thing, but probably with like a different, like probably not with providing, probably like with something else. Right? They might say, oh, in a couple years I'll have your baby, or we can get married, or I'll support you and whatever, and then they don't follow through. However, women don't follow through. But it's like, I'm not gonna assume that it's only men who do it, but like where's the logic in that? And then their favorite line is always, I don't want you to wait. So what do you think I'm gonna be doing when you come in the summertime and tell me that you'll be ready in January? What are we gonna be doing in that 6 months? You still wanna have conversation every day. You still wanna whatever. How is that not waiting? How do you not see that as waiting? And then furthermore, how do you not see that as being selfish? And why doesn't the thought of coming off as selfish deter you from even making that decision in the first place? And so now that this has happened to me for the second time this year, not for the second time in my whole entire life, I had $1 for every time some man tried to tell me what he's gonna do later on, when later on is not guaranteed. We could all die. I could die tomorrow. He could die tomorrow. He could find somebody else tomorrow. Vice versa. All we have is this present moment. So basically, what I'm trying to find out is, why are people not bringing their best selves to the present moment? Why are they trying to pawn off their best selves on the future as if it's guaranteed, as if there is a future, when there isn't one? Honestly, if we're being our most humble selves, if we're practicing humility, we'll understand that the future does not exist. It doesn't exist. We're not guaranteed it. So step out of your ego for a second and just acknowledge that simple truth. And then so like, I think what I was trying to get at earlier was, so I had to sit down and like really think about it. Like, okay, because from my perspective, as I've, explained to a few people, from my perspective, as a woman, I would not come to a man with some sob story about why my shortcomings are what they are and why I can't pull my weight in the relationship. And let's just make it clear that weight isn't just about financial. It's about emotional as well. I'm not going to be putting on my emotional baggage on another person. Like, I've done that work. As well as, I don't need you for nothing financial either. So everything that we come into a union together with and create out of that space is going to be abundant. It's not going to be starting on a uneven plane. I apologize, guys. I think, well, one, I'm trying to walk and talk at the same time while I'm carrying my bag. And I might be walking uphill or something because I don't know why I'm so out of breath. Could also be because I'm congested. So I'm trying to talk and breathe out of my mouth at the same time. But anyway, so as a woman, I am operating out of this understanding and having that conversation with myself before I even think about getting into something with somebody else. Like, okay, Rashida, are you carrying your own weight financially? Are you carrying your own weight emotionally? Or are you looking for this other person to carry weight in some form or another? And I'll admit, there have been situations where I have been looking for the other person to carry the financial or the emotional weight in some form or another, right? Either out of necessity or out of just egotism. Like, I might have it or whatever, but I want what you have too, kind of thing. Or I might not have it at the moment and I need you to give it to me, kind of thing. Either way, I've operated in that space, and what I've learned from that is all it does is bring you in alignment with a person that is operating out of that same space. And everything that you guys create in that space is going to be of the same vibration. It's going to create more lack. It's going to create more emotional and financial imbalance. And so knowing this, I just don't even create the energy of the platform for that to even take place. So I think I've always understood that. I don't know if it's just a feminine energy thing, like we understand, the connections between things. We innately understand that things are connected. And we're here to kind of teach men that, because masculine nature doesn't really acknowledge the connectedness of things. Hang on, guys. Let me catch my breath, because I really am trying to breathe and talk at the same time. Maybe I'll just pick back up this conversation when I get in the house. I'll be right back. Right, so where did we leave off? Yeah, just as a woman, I wouldn't operate like that. Like, I would just be a little bit more mindful of what it is that I'm creating and whatever space I'm going into and whoever I'm dealing with. But then, I said that comes naturally to women, right? But then we deal with men, and because we are naturally compassionate and empathetic towards them, we are thrown off of our square and thrown into their world, and before we know it, we're drowning in the sea of empathy and and understanding, and society judges him because he's a black man. And so, I have to give him certain concessions, and I have to, be a little easier on him because, he's a black man, or he had it hard when he was growing up, and whatever sad story, whatever excuse he has that he's offered for a reason as to why he's in your face without having made sure that he can carry his own weight financially and emotionally. It's all like, sorry to say, but it's all bullshit. Like, and we sit up there and we fall for it every single time. And all it does is enable them. All it does is perpetuate that same behavior. Because if they're getting what they want by doing that, of course, it's going to reinforce that behavior. It's going to have them continue to do it. There's no reason for them to stop. Because the stop story has worked. My mom is dating this guy right now. I think they've been dating 5 years or whatever. Like, when did she start dating him? In like 2016 or 2017, right? And his top story for why he doesn't work is because he's a Rasta or whatever, and he has like really long dreadlocks, and he like ties it up in a turban. So he feels like his story is that people judge him because of that. And so that's why he can't get a job, because every time he goes on the job, everybody's judging him and treating him a certain kind of way because of how he looks. And that's the story he's been telling for years and getting away with it. And my mom just like allows him to tell that story. And it's like, okay, fine. Even if that is true and that's what's happening, why haven't you started your own business? Why are you okay with your woman being the sole provider? And you just sit on your excuses and don't make any moves. Because it's easier to do that. I honestly wish that I was not raised to take accountability. I honestly wish that I could be that person to just like fall back on my excuses and just be like, oh, well, I was raised in the hood and my mom, just whatever story, right? There's so much that has happened to me that I could just fall back on and just be like, oh, okay, well, nobody in my family went to college, so, I'm just not going to go. I couldn't make that excuse, but I was the first to get a bachelor's degree. I'm the only person in my family that has a higher level degree. So I just find it's just really interesting to me, like how, and it's apparent that it's a masculine energy thing, because there's so many women who can say the same, but then there are men too who can say that they have beat the odds and they haven't let their story hold them back and keep them from accomplishing certain things. And so it's like, at what point do we start holding people accountable? And then it's sad because there are women who won't allow themselves or other women to not take accountability. But the men in their life, oh, he can come up with whatever sob story he wants and it's perfectly fine. Oh, it's okay, baby. It's okay. It's okay. I know they judge you because of your turban. Like, come on. Who gives a fuck? Again, why doesn't he start, if it's that deep? If everybody is just, they're just hating you because you decide to wear a turban on your head, fine. Why haven't you found another option to provide for yourself and your family? Again, because there is no reason to. And they have just fallen back and allowed women to just do everything and be everything and it's okay because I have my excuse, I have my story. Okay, so why don't I get the luxury? Why do you get that luxury and I don't? And then the further point that I want to make with that is I understand all of this, right? But men want to come into your life and automatically be the one that you follow, automatically be the one that you submit to. Yet, they don't understand something as important as what I just stated. It's like I understand how to get what I want out of life. I understand how to be accountable. I understand how to pull my own weight financially and emotionally. You don't, but you expect me to follow you and completely abandon the things that I know are correct. All because you're the man. All because you feel like that's what you need when you're not equipped for that. And then you wonder why I won't submit. You wonder why, like, I just don't, I'm not understanding the logic. And apparently these men aren't either because none of them are able to explain it. How can you, in one breath, in one sentence, say, I don't expect you to wait on me. You know, you can go and date whoever, and if you find somebody better than me, then by all means go ahead and be with them. In one breath say all of that. And then in the next breath say, but you know, in January, I'll be ready to provide for you. When I get this new job, or when I pass the 3 month mark at my new job, I'll be able to take you on trips. But, you know, I don't expect you to wait for me. Like, how is that not contradictory? It absolutely is. And the reason why it's not contradictory to them, again, is because we allow them to make those excuses. We haven't pointed out the contradiction. We haven't held them accountable. And so there's something else that I want to say. And I'm not really going to like find an elaborate way to kind of put it in. I'm just going to kind of like leave that thought that I just said where it's at and then just kind of introduce this other thing that I want to say, which is, if I can remember what it is. Shit, what was it? Right. So I'm finding myself kind of contemplating whether or not I'm ever going to start dating again, or I'm ever going, or if I'll ever be ready. And when I say ready, I mean like willing to participate in this dynamic where men can just offer whatever sob story they want and I'm supposed to just acquiesce. Like I just can't. There we go. It's almost as if men operate under this notion that the woman's role in his life is supposed to be his cheerleader, his motivation, his reason for being a better person, his insert the whatever, right? And while I can see the argument for that, while I can see how, you know, that could validate a woman's role in a man's life, I don't want to be that for a man. So that makes me question whether or not I am ready for a relationship. Like, honestly, if that's what relationships are all about, then I'm good on my own. I don't want to participate in a dynamic like that. Like, I just don't. Because at the end of the day, I don't need a cheerleader. So I don't understand the need for one. Like, it just, I can never, like, there will always be resentment. There will always be like this like wall up, because I just I don't get it. Like I don't. And when I think about it, it's like, it's kind of like, just kind of be that for be that for him, because that's what he needs in this season of his life. And then eventually he will, grow up. He will evolve into a different person that doesn't need that. So it's sort of like going through the seasons and the changes with a person. And I'm not even ready for that. So that could just be like a maturity thing. That could just be like I don't really, if I had to name what it was for me personally, I think it's more of a like, I don't see the ROI in the situation. Like I think about things very logically. Like I think about things very like business minded, business oriented. Like my head hasn't been in the clouds for a really long time. So when I think about relationships, it's like, what is my return on investment? If I don't see that up front, then what am I even involving myself in this for? But it's more so like the other day I ran across this this story that this guy, because I follow this podcast about business or whatever, and so sometimes they post like shorts, that's what it's called. Sometimes they post shorts on like the interview, and one of the things the guy was saying was, he was talking about business, and he was saying a lot of times people want their money up front when it comes to a business deal. Like let's say you have an idea and you sell it to somebody for $50,000, however much, right? A lot of people want their $50,000 up front. Like, I'm selling you this idea. I want my money right now. Let's negotiate whatever it is. And he was saying that he's patient. He's willing to wait. And he sets up his deals to where he's making residual. He's making money off of like, because let's say that you sold your idea for 50,000, but that company ends up making billions of dollars later on off of your idea. So that was the point he was trying to make. He was trying to say like, a lot of people, especially in business, go into it with the mind state of, I want my money up front right now, right? But you have to be patient in order to make money in the long term. So now while he's sleeping, he's making residual income off of an idea that he sold over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? And as that company makes money off of his idea, he's making money as well. And that's the smarter way to do it. So maybe the way that I'm thinking about relationships and men is the way that I should like change. Maybe the way I'm thinking about it is being impatient, right? If we kind of equate it to the relationship standpoint, that the business standpoint, right? If I'm thinking about it logically, then I can apply it as, I'm investing into this man long term. I want my residual effects, my residual income from it, right? I don't want the right now $50,000. I want 5 years from now, I have a man that I've watched grow and evolve and become this amazing person. And I've gotten a chance to see where he started at, and now through a relationship with me where he's arrived at, like that's the residual income of being in a long-term relationship. And so maybe it's just that I have this easy bake oven mentality when it comes to being in a relationship. And so, and when it comes to men and just relationships in general. And if that's the case, then I guess at some point my mind state will change. And so that's another reason why I have decided to back away, because I can be honest with myself about that. Like, I'm just not ready to view relationships and men in that way. And I know that that's what it's going to take in order to have a successful relationship. And I'm just not, I'm not willing to put in that kind of work at this point in time. It just is not worth it to me at this point in time. What's worth it to me is getting myself together in the career arena, getting myself together in personal development arena, and then maybe after those things are checked off to the point where I'm just like fully standing on my square, then maybe I could start looking at, okay, in like fully investing in somebody else, right? But at this point, it's like I haven't even fully invested in myself, honestly. There's so much that I want to accomplish. There's so much I want to get done. There's so many ideas that I have. There's so many billion-dollar ideas that I need to like start making deals on that I haven't done for myself. So I don't even have a room to think about investing into somebody else. And then what would that even look like? So that's kind of like where I'm at with the situation. And I don't, because on one hand, like I want to offer, because to me, it's like, okay, you double back. You thought enough about me to pop back up in my life and try, you know, let me know that you're still thinking about me or whatever. I want to honor that, but it's almost like, at what point does it stop being honoring it and it starts becoming getting pulled back into an old cycle? And so it's like, I got the opportunity to apologize for some of the things that I said to that person because it just was not it was not called for. It's like, I have a perspective of who you are, but it's not my place to tell you that, like, to be like, oh, well, you're this, that person, and you're this and that person, and this is what you're really doing and whatever. Like, it's not, there's no need for any of that. I can think that in my head and have that idea of that person, but I don't have to tell them, right? And so just having the space to apologize for some of the things that I put out into the atmosphere that he was still thinking about, but I wasn't even thinking about anymore. It's like, oh shit, I did say that. My apologies. Like, I'm sorry, like, that I said that, because that was way out of line. That was rude. That was disrespectful. That was out of ego and out of selfishness. And I shouldn't have said what I said, but that still does not negate the fact that you shouldn't be in my face if you don't feel like you're ready. And so learning how to communicate that without bashing the other person, like learning how to communicate, you're not ready. And basically, you know, like, we overcomplicate things, because honestly, I don't believe you're ready is the only conversation that needs to be had. We don't need to explain, like, I don't need to explain why I think that is. I don't think you're ready, and I'm not ready. Period. We don't need to get into the, oh, I don't think you're ready because you did that and you said this on May 27th, 2019. You said blah, 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 and that's why I think you're not ready. No. It's clear to me that you're not ready. Not even that, because you can't, we need to get out of the space of imposing onto other people. So I am not ready to deal with you in a space, or I'm not willing to deal with you right now in the space that we're currently in. Now, later on down the line, I might be willing, but currently I'm not. And I would prefer that we didn't have a conversation, or I would prefer that we kept things platonic, however you want the conversation to go. But it really could be simple. It doesn't have to be, we really don't have to overcomplicate it. Like, honestly, it doesn't have to be a whole drawn out conversation. And so that's just kind of where I'm at with it. It's like, I'm not going to do the back and forth. I'm just going to let you know where I'm at. And I mean, take it or leave it kind of thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what else. Simple. Take it or leave it. Like, yeah. So hopefully one day I get over this cough. And yeah, I think that's all I want to say. Being grateful for the things that you want in life really does. It completely change, like overnight, it changes things. Expressing gratitude for the things that you have and not focusing on lack completely changes things overnight. I want to throw those two things out there because I have really been seeing the effects of those things. My prayer has now become I surrender, bring into my life all of the things that are meant for me, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. And things have completely changed 360 in the last 2 days. Like Monday, shit was like, whoa, like what in the hell is going on? And by yesterday, it just did a complete, and I'm just in awe. Like, I'm just like, wow. I'm just like, wow. Complete difference. And so instead of having a plan for my life, instead of being that person who is you know what, I'm gonna make a separate video for that. Anyway, guys, until next time, be well.